a lot of healing consists of talk therapy, and you do something that's special, which is NLP and hypnotherapy. I'm really curious about NLP. Could you just break that down for like a fifth grader?
Absolutely. Okay. So NLP is nothing more than getting in touch with your body. And you're using the 5 senses to do that. So during a session, whatever we're working with, I'm going to ask you very basic colors, very basic questions. And some of those questions can be, what color is it? What shape is it? Where do you feel it in your body?
That's interesting. Like, therapy is like usually like, what's your biggest problem? You're like, what color is it?
Exactly. Yes. What color? What shape is it? What color is it? Tell me about the texture. What do you hear? How loud is it? Because when you engage the 5 senses, you have no choice to be fully in your body, be fully present. And that's when change really happens, when you're fully in your body, fully grounded.
Okay, so there's no like real right answer. It's more of you just trying to put a sense to it.
Exactly. There is no right answer. There is no wrong answer. It's just whatever is coming up for you.
Okay.
And I would love for you to experience with me so that you can judge for yourself and give your own input and feedback.
Why is it called programming?
Because it's quite literally programming your mind. Using language, using the senses, you are quite literally creating new neural pathways and you're uninstalling old programming and you're downloading new programming. And so it is quite literally reprogramming your brain, just like hypnotherapy does the same. NLP does that. And in fact, I do use with certain clients, depending on what their needs are, I do use NLP and hypnotherapy together.
Okay. So when we say the old programming, what is that old programming? Is it thoughts, emotions, something in the body?
All of the above.
All of the
yes,
above. Okay.
It can be. Yes, it can be thoughts, it can be emotions, it can be limiting beliefs. In your case, I know that you did a documentary on dance and movement and how challenging that was for you at the beginning, because at the core of it, your limiting belief was, I'm not a dancer, I can't dance, probably people are gonna judge me. And so those are limiting beliefs. That's programming somewhere along the line, somewhere in childhood probably, you had an experience that jolted you and traumatized you.
Right. As humans, we all have limiting beliefs. There's never going to be a complete erasure of limiting beliefs. So how does like one know whether they should engage in a healing process for their limiting beliefs, or maybe, or just accept like, hey, just this is what my beliefs are and I'm fine with it?
Well, I think either approach can work, right? It really depends on you and how you want to proceed and what you're ready for. But if you're in a space where you're aware of what your limiting belief is and you want to reprogram that and you want to reframe that, then you have the power to do that. And there are so many modalities to do that. There isn't just NLP and hypnotherapy. There's breath work, there's movement, there's dance, there's community. There's so many ways to reprogram.
Yeah. So you mentioned one of my favorite words, reframe. There's a small little anecdote I want to give. There was a clip I was watching of a lady saying that she feels she's awkward all the time and weird. And the therapist said, oh, you're not awkward or you're not weird. But in my mind, I'm like, I would have done the exact opposite. I'd be like, yes, I'm awkward, I'm weird, and I accept it.
Absolutely, right there in acceptance. Okay, some people may view this as awkward, as strange, as weird, but I'm going to reframe it and choose to see that as different, as unique, as eclectic, maybe. It is who I am, and I really embrace myself where I am. And truly, when you embrace yourself and accept where you are, that's when things can flow, and that's really when the change happens, because you loosen that resistance.
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Reframing is beautiful, and reframing, NLP helps with reframing, hypnotherapy helps with reframing, and it's beautiful. It's including mindset work in NLP and hypnotherapy. So it's like this big old beautiful package.
Okay, so now there's a lot of people that I see that say, I love myself, or I accept that I'm weird, but it's like a logical thing they say, but they don't feel it emotionally. They still have those feelings of self-hatred, even though they say it verbally that they love themselves. What's the missing link there?
Yes. Okay. So you have the conscious mind and then you have the subconscious mind, right? So consciously, you are saying, I love myself, I appreciate myself, I'm enough. But the subconscious mind in the background is saying, no, you don't. No, you don't. And that is because of the rewiring. That is because of the programming you received in childhood. And sometimes not even in childhood. Sometimes it dates back to, sometimes it's genetic, it's epigenetics. And science is now showing that a lot of limiting beliefs can be passed down from generation to generation. And so with the work that I do through hypnotherapy and NLP, we get to the root cause. And so once you're in a relaxed state, we ask the subconscious mind, what is the root cause of this limiting belief, I am not good enough, or I'm not a good dancer? It may not be from childhood. It may be 15 generations back. And your subconscious mind, because it knows everything and it's stored information for centuries from your ancestry, it knows exactly where to go and what the root cause is. And that's what I'm here to hold space, to hold space for you while you determine what the root cause is. And then the subconscious mind will create a timeline from that event. Let's say it's 15 generations back. Or let's say it's when you were 2 years old. It'll create a timeline from then to now, and it'll look at all of the events that made you feel not good enough. And it'll peek in, so to speak, look at them, release the negative emotions surrounding them, and then reframe the experience and step out, in and 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 out. And it does a sweep through of all of that. How much gets dissected, so to speak, it's up to you, how much you're willing to let go of it. Typically, during a session, after a session, clients are exhausted because you've literally cleared out decades or even centuries of BS you no longer need.
Interesting.
It sounds very woo, but there's a science behind it. This is done in clinical settings.
Yeah, so I noticed on your website, you said that hypnotherapy is much better than other forms of therapy.
Well, I wouldn't say much better than other forms of therapy, because I think all forms of therapy are beautiful. If it resonates with you and if it helps, go for it. However, there are studies that show that hypnotherapy is much more effective than, say, talk therapy. It works. You get a higher success rate.
Okay, you know why that is?
Because you're tapping into the subconscious mind. Okay. And the subconscious mind is what holds all of the memories, what holds all of the beliefs, what holds emotions.
Okay, so the subconscious, by definition, it's not conscious. So you're not aware of it in some capacity, but it still controls you in a very significant way. How do you, as someone that's helping clients, how do you go down the staircase?
How do you go down the staircase? So the subconscious mind, studies show that the subconscious mind controls approximately 95% of how we dress, how we talk, how we move, how we react, how we respond to things. And so it's so important to get to access the subconscious mind for true change to happen. And so how do you go down the stairs? Okay. Can you be a bit more specific with that question?
I presume, I think you said that you put your clients in a state of relaxation.
Yes.
I assume that where the access.
Absolutely. You've been doing I know you do your research. Your page is amazing. You have a wealth of information. So yes. So a lot of people are scared of hypnotherapy and they think that it's something weird and mystical and scary because they think that they ask me, it's like, well, am I going to remember? Are you going to control me? No, none of that. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Hypnotherapy is simply a state of relaxation. It's just you being present, being grounded, being here, and feeling safe. And so the first step is holding space for you to be there. And so we do some breath work together, and then a little visualization. You relax your body, relax your jaw, release your shoulders, right? Just breathe and just be. And then the moment that you're just breathing and being, then you're there. You'll be in an alpha state, which is a state of relaxation. And when you're in an alpha state, you are suggestible. You are suggestible and you can access all of the answers, all your inner wisdom, anything the subconscious mind has to share. And so that's the first step, putting you in a relaxed state. Well, I don't put you in a relaxed state. You do that yourself. You're in full control. And then we have a conversation. It's dialogue, just like this, but you're in a relaxed state. And let's say you want to work on, let's go back to, I don't feel good enough, which all of us experience that multiple times in different areas of our lives. Not feeling good enough for that promotion or not feeling good enough for that next step. And so let's say we're working with, I don't feel good enough. Then I will ask your subconscious mind, what is the root cause of this? And typically the question will be, is this a belief that started before you were born or after you were born? And your subconscious mind will know. Even if you don't believe in past lives, even if you don't believe it's going to get passed down genetically or it has been passed down genetically, we're just going to let the subconscious mind. Where did it start? Is it before birth or after birth? If it says before birth, we're going to find out. Was it a past life? Or was it passed down genetically? If you say after birth, was it or if you say after birth, or in the womb, I forgot that part. It could also be in the womb, or it could be after birth. Okay, let me say that again. Okay, so we go to the root cause, and the root cause can be before birth, which could be a past life, or it could be passed down genetically, or it could be further in the timeline in the womb, because so much happens when you're in the womb, or did it happen after birth? Let's say that you decide, or your subconscious mind lets us know that it happened in the womb. I will ask subconscious mind, what happened? And even if you've never had a session before, even if you've never been regressed, you know the answers and you will tell me exactly what happened. And some people will say, okay, here's an example of a client, 3 months old. I was in the womb 3 months, and this scenario was happening in the background. Or maybe you may not know about specific scenarios, but you know the feelings and emotions and how it made you feel. And that got stored in your DNA, that got stored in your subconscious. And then we will look at the event, hover over it, look at the event, and I will guide you through reframing the experience so that you can extract the lessons, so that you can extract the wisdom and bring it forward.
Right. That is very fascinating. So 3 ways. There's before birth, in the womb, and then after birth.
Exactly.
So the afterbirth makes sense. Some event happened, and suddenly you have this trauma or some built up resistance. But how do you deal with something that's a past life? Like it's like a hard notion concept to grapple with.
Right? It is. It can be. And people come to me saying, okay, I don't know about any of this woo stuff, past life stuff, but I'm here to tell you that it's not woo, that there is science behind it. There's qualitative and quantitative data, especially coming from the University of Virginia, from Dr. Ian Stevenson. Look him up. Fascinating information. Back to the question. When you are in that relaxed state, because you are feeling safe and we're accessing the subconscious mind, you're not going to question it because you're not engaging the conscious mind. You're not engaging the prefrontal cortex. You're just engaging the knowing, the subconscious mind. So things, you don't think about it. There's no thinking. You're in your body, you're in your heart, you're in your subconscious, and answers just start flowing. And at the end of the session, usually clients are like, oh my gosh, what just happened? That was really interesting. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that happened when I was 2 years old. Or, oh my gosh, that happened to me in the womb. All those emotions, I don't know where they came from. And I'm getting chills right now.
Yeah.
And yes, it happens. And I've had my own experience doing that, not only through hypnotherapy, but when I was seeing a therapist, we did EMDR, and this is in a clinical setting, EMDR, and she took me to my mother's womb. And when we did that, I thought it was fascinating because I thought, oh my gosh, finally the woo and science are married, and it's acknowledged, and it's a thing. So it's just, you have to experience it.
Okay.
It's like you have to experience it yourself so that you can decide for yourself. That's really the best answer.
Okay, so from what I understand, the healing aspect of past life reading is that you get to learn about certain patterns of your current subconscious because your current subconscious has memory of your past lives. Absolutely, right. So within the hypnotherapy session, if whatever you are dealing with dates back to a past life, that will come up. You'll be able to see it, you'll be able to visualize it, you'll know. We'll look at it, we'll reframe it, and then we'll move on. We'll let it go, and then we'll move on. Now, if you want a past life reading, I also offer that. And that's usually a 60-minute session. And I've been doing this for 10 years. And so I bring in the science and I bring in the woo. We sit together and then we'll just let the subconscious mind come through. And then I will share with you what came through. And then I'll help you process it. And we will discuss, we will talk about what the connections are. So let's say I share a past life. I'm going to share the past life with you. And then I'll ask you, how does this relate to your life? And there's 100% of the time some kind of connection. Interesting.
And then I will guide you through the process. I will guide you through processing.
So how do you personally read a person during that session? Is it your intuition? You look in the eyes or have energy?
Yeah, well, intuition. So it's just reading your soul, baby, reading your soul. Yeah, it's intuition. You know, a lot of my work, I'm guided by intuition. Yes, I use science. Yes, I am certified. Yes, I have a template, but I also use my intuition to guide me. And of course, I listen to you and what your needs are, and I meet you where you're at. But a session looks like this. We meet, typically it's online through Zoom. We set an intention. My intention is always that you will receive the messages that you're meant to receive. Highest timeline. It's a prayer that I say. And then I ask you about your intention. And so we work with that. Usually within 60 minutes, 2 to 3 lifetimes come up. I just close my eyes. And as I close, I have a notebook with me. A notebook, pencil, paper, pen. I close my eyes and I will just start seeing images. I'll start receiving symbols, messages, images. I'll write those down. Once the energy drops, then it's time for me to share the information with you. Usually it takes me about 7 minutes. Then I'll share the information with you. I'll get your feedback. We'll see where it intersects. And I guide you through integration. And typically after a session, people are exhausted. Why? Because there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. You, by becoming aware of a lifetime, is so, so powerful because you're able to finally release what's been trapped in your body and your subconscious. The body is the subconscious.
Wait, can you explain that with the body is the subconscious?
Well, anything that's happened to us, any experiences that we have, any emotions, any beliefs, they stay in our body. I don't know if you've read the book or heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score, right? It stays in your body. It stays in our soul memory. And by becoming aware by those lifetimes coming forward, you're able to first become aware because there's no change if you don't have awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes there is, but typically, if you're wanting to work through something, you need to have that awareness. And by having that awareness, your body is able to start to process it and release it.
Could you give me an example of a client?
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to give you a recent example. I met with someone through Zoom, because that's where most of my sessions are. And I saw a lifetime in which she was a female in that lifetime. She's a female in this lifetime, but she's also a female in that lifetime. And she had a death in her family. One of her children passed away. And so we walked through that. And when I asked her for feedback, she said, oh my gosh, wow, now I understand why I have this fear of my child dying. My child isn't sick. I have no reason to be fearful, but yet I have this tremendous fear of my child dying and just my family falling apart. And this has actually happened numerous times in numerous readings. So this is an example of like a collective here. And so for somebody, that's so empowering because it says, oh, wow, okay, these fears that I have nothing to do with this lifetime, have nothing to do with me. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my child. This isn't my intuition saying that something bad is going to happen. This is just my subconscious mind and my body keeping memory of something that happened to me. And I wasn't able to resolve it in a past life. So now that my body and my soul and my subconscious is ready to resolve it and become aware of it, it can start to dissolve. And so sometimes when at the end of our lives, we don't get to resolve every issue that we have. And so sometimes we need to resolve it in another time and space in another lifetime. And so this is an example of this woman or women, because this has happened numerous times where there's a death in the family and they carry it forward. They carry that fear forward. So now I recently checked in with her and I was like, hey, how are things going? And she said, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of my child dying. I'm at peace. It feels good. This was so powerful. So past lives aren't just for fun. They really are healing. They really do help close the cycle out.
Yeah. The funny thing about fear is that, especially the fake fear, sometimes when you keep contemplating a fake fear, it actually happens, and then it reinforces.
Yes,
cycle.
Thank you. Yeah, we manifest it, right? Ooh, that's so powerful because thoughts become emotions, and emotions manifest a new reality. We are powerful, powerful creatures, and we really are creating our reality. So our thoughts, what we think is so, so important, and we have to monitor them. And so for me, I talk to myself. If a negative thought comes in, I'm like, okay, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, let's go ahead and correct that. Let's go ahead and reframe the experience. let's go ahead and correct that. Let's go ahead and soften it if I'm not able to think the opposite.
Yeah.
And so it's adjusting, because yes, we do manifest whatever we think, we create.
In your sessions, do you recommend clients to do certain activities based on whatever they're facing? So for example, I was scared of dancing. Would one of the things be like, okay, you gotta dance?
Okay, yeah, exposure therapy,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You know what? I am okay with exposure therapy in some cases, and in others, not. It really depends on the individual. So, for instance, if you came to me when you were working on this dance scenario, breaking through, and if I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, how scared are you to put yourself out there and dance in front of people? And if you would have said 10, I personally would not have recommended you to go out there.
Okay.
Because as a trauma-informed practitioner, that can actually do a lot of damage. That puts you in fight-flight response. And when you're in fight-flight, we're not able to process through emotions properly. It affects the amygdala, and the amygdala is responsible for emotions. It's responsible for learning, and it's responsible for regulating stress. So, if you would have said, it's a 5, I would have thought, yeah, okay, let's try it. Sit with the discomfort, because that is how we grow, right? Sitting in discomfort.
Yeah.
But if you're at a 10, 11, 12, I would have done a session with you first to release some of the limiting beliefs, the emotions surrounding it. And then we would have reassessed where you are. Most of my clients go from a 10 to about a 1 or a 2 within a single session. And then you continue to reprogram yourself through homework that I give you, science-based, research-based. And then I would say, yeah, go and sit with the discomfort.
What does that homework look like?
Oh, yeah, the homework, I do my very best to work with my clients. Some clients resist homework. I mean, don't we all, right? It's subconscious, like, who wants homework? We grew up with, 18 years of homework or 20-something years of homework, so none of us want homework. So I call them action steps, right? We're reframing it, exactly. We call them action steps. And so that looks differently for everyone. It's based on what they're working on. I will make recommendations. I'll say, hey, this is what based on what you're working through, this is what I recommend for your action steps. Which do you want to do? Giving options, right? Because as a kid, when you were given options, that was much better than being told what to do. Nobody wants to be told what to do. And I want it to flow, and I want it to feel like it's aligned. I'm here to hold space for your healing, for your self-development, and I want this to be a partnership. But as examples for some things that they do is one really, really important one that is like number one for me is paying attention to the shifts in your life after a session, especially the tiny, tiny, tiny ones. Pay attention to the shifts, pay attention to the changes in your body when you're doing certain things. For instance, I worked with a client who could not leave their house. They're like, I can't leave my house. I feel anxious. I don't like it when people look at me. I feel judged. If I go out, I will put a hoodie on. It just wrecks my nervous system. And so after a single session, she said to me, when I asked her to report back on the shift, she said to me, well, I went grocery shopping, and when the individual stood behind me, normally I would panic and freak and pivot and just make sure that they weren't going to attack me or make sure that I was safe. And this time, I still felt nervous, but I didn't have to turn around. And before, my panic was on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 10. And this time, it was about a 4. boom, right there. Sometimes we don't have that immediate change, but that's huge, going from a 10 to a 4. And so when you celebrate that, when you vocalize that, your subconscious, what you're telling your subconscious mind is you're safe. Look what we did. Look what we did together. Look what we accomplished. And then we celebrate together. I always encourage my clients, text me, message me, anything good that's happening, any shifts, please, I want to hear about it. And we also have a Google Doc where they can fill out all of their wins. Not everybody does it, I'm gonna admit, but that's okay, I get it. But as long as you keep track of it and you share it with others. Because going back to what we said about manifesting is, thoughts become reality. And your mind is always listening, your body is always listening. And there's a part of the brain called the reticular activation system. And that part of the brain is responsible for giving you more of what you pay attention to. And so when you're paying attention to the positive shifts, your brain will ding, 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 look for more of those, right? Kind of like when you were a kid, I don't know if you played a game, look for a yellow car. And before declaring look for a yellow car, you weren't seeing any yellow cars. But the moment you said, hey, I'm going to look for yellow cars, you start seeing yellow cars. Why? Because that part of your brain is activated and it's scanning the world for more of what you're thinking of.
Right. So that's a scientific explanation of what it means to manifest something. So like previously I was like, I'm not a dancer. But then I did the reticular activating system. I didn't know I was doing that, but that's what I did. I'm like, well, I'm not a dancer, but if I want to become a dancer, what does a dancer do? Just dances, right? So let me go outside and start dancing. And suddenly you start stacking proofs for the identity that you want to become. And that's what manifestation is.
Absolutely. Bingo. Yeah. So it's not just woo, there's a science behind it.
Why do you think that a lot of these spaces have the connotation is woo-woo?
I think that science is lagging. Luckily, there's now a lot of science that is showing that whatever we considered woo can now be backed by science. And that goes for Reiki. For instance, I'm not sure you're aware, but universities like Yale, hospitals like MD Anderson are now offering Reiki to their clients.
Really?
And there's a plethora of other organizations, of other universities and hospitals. Why? Because there's a science behind it now that it works.
So I'm really curious about knowing the similarities and differences between NLP and hypnotherapy.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think that perhaps the similarities and differences can vary depending on practitioner to practitioner because everybody does their work differently. But as for me, just a general similarities and differences would be NLP and hypnotherapy, they both use language to reprogram. They both are excellent at reframing experiences so that you can download a new way of thinking, reprogram, and they both create new neural pathways. Okay. And so one of the differences between those, at least in how I practice it, is with hypnotherapy, you enter into a trance, so to speak, you're in alpha state, so that you are suggestible to releasing the old programming to download new programming. And that's done by bypassing the critical factor. And the critical factor is like a gatekeeper. So for instance, for you with dancing, right? It was hard for you to get yourself out there because your belief was, I'm not a dancer. I'm not a good dancer. And so if we had a hypnotherapy session surrounding that, we're going to use trance. You're going to be in a state of relaxation so that we can bypass the I'm not a good dancer, bypass the critical factor so that we can jump and reprogram with a new thought that I am a dancer. Maybe initially you won't think I'm a good dancer, but I am a dancer, and that's all you need so to continue to move forward. And then you continue to reprogram your own brain, right? Through exposure therapy and going out there and dancing and moving more, because we know that that's how we get good at stuff, by practicing, by doing. And so I would hold space for you to create new neural pathways, and then you would continue the work yourself by taking action.
Okay. What is critical factor?
Critical factor is the part of the brain that filters things out. That gives you the evidence. It's that gatekeeper that keeps reminding us, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not a good dancer. Here's the evidence that you're not a good dancer. Here's the evidence that you're not a good dancer. And so it's this subconscious programming that plays over and over and over and over again. And we want to put pause on that recording, and we want to bypass that so that you have a new programming.
Okay, so that's beautiful. So what I understand, Dr. Bella is saying that the critical factor is the lens by which you see the world. What she helps you do is forget about the lens, but let's go beyond the lens, the subconscious mind, reprogram that. Once you do that, the lens automatically become the one that you want.
Yes, and you've reframed that experience, you've changed it, you've tweaked it, and off you go to continue to reprogram your own brain through taking those action steps. And so what's important for me is that I hold space for you for the X amount of sessions you come see me, but that you also have the tools to reprogram your own brain. Because nobody has all the money in the world and time, right? I want you to go spend your money on vacations and other things, other fun things. And so that's such an important part of my work. Working with you on figuring out what works for you, what action steps work for you, so that you can continue to reprogram your own brain.
Do you have a favorite client story of this filter being changed by your work?
Yes. Okay, so let me see if I can filter out a couple of them. Okay, so there's a couple that come to mind. I worked with somebody who came to me because she wanted to improve her relationship with her daughter. She said, I have a little girl. We don't really get along. She triggers me to no end. I really want to work on the root cause, what's underneath it all. And so we had maybe about 4 sessions, and we worked through fear and shame, and everything went back to her childhood and the way she was treated. And so after those sessions, I checked in with her, and she said, my relationship with my daughter is so much better now. We get along. She doesn't trigger me. We hold each other, we hug, and we couldn't do that before. And so that's so powerful, where it literally, 4 sessions literally changed the relationship of a mother-daughter. And then they start to see other shifts in their lives, because when you work on one area in your life, it bleeds to all the other areas, right? I think that's like what's extremely exciting for me to hear, that we work on one area, but then all the other areas of their life improve because we're releasing those negative emotions, those limiting beliefs. Another example is someone who I worked with. She was actually a nurse, and she was experiencing leg pain, and she'd been living with that for 9 months. And she had tried everything. She didn't know what to do. She came to me as last resort. And a lot of people come to me as last resort. Like, I've done this, and that, and I don't know what to do. And so it's exciting to be like, let's get this done. It's exciting to be last resort and see it work. And she had leg pain, 9 months, and she said it just hurts so much that it's even affecting when I go run errands, just going grocery shopping is just a pain, literally. And one session, she went from a level, I don't remember exactly, but it was somewhere between 8 to 10 to a 1. The next day she was kicking.
No way.
And so she messaged me, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. This is amazing. I'm kicking. And I'm like, okay, maybe don't kick. Maybe just let your body rest. Maybe slowly start to stretch. But so hypnotherapy and NLP are not only effective for limiting beliefs and emotions, but actual physical pain. Why? Because our body traps emotions, beliefs, and those beliefs result in physical pain.
Wow.
And if you look at the science behind it, there's a plethora of science backing that. In the book we mentioned earlier, The Body Keeps the Score.
Wow. Okay. That is surprising, actually. That the body is like, you solved the body problem with the mind.
Yes. Isn't it fascinating? The correlation, body, mind, and spirit, it's all interconnected.
Wow.
NLP and some
What's your
hypnosis.
ideal client?
My ideal client is someone who's ready. Someone who is ready to go deep, somebody that's ready to get to the root cause, someone that is a little scared, but also very excited to jump timelines, very excited to transform, very excited to shed, to change, to release parts of them that don't even belong to them. Because we're all walking around with pieces of us that don't belong to us. Pieces, things, emotions, beliefs that we picked up along the way from our environment, from our parents, from our grandparents, from our teachers, from online, from the media.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's so. I don't ever introduce myself as Dr. Isabella. It's so weird. In fact, I can tell you a story about that real quick. Okay, so I can be vulnerable, right? Let's see. What can I say? So I do want to say that introducing myself as Dr. Isabella does feel a bit uncomfortable. It feels very vulnerable. But exposure, right? Exposure therapy, the more I say it, the more I introduce myself that way, the more comfortable I will be.
I mean, you earned it.
Right, I did. But I have some subconscious stuff that I've had to deal with. And in fact, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about NLP is that NLP actually helped me break through being able to put the title in like social media. Once upon a time, I had a lot of shame surrounding putting my name followed by those 3 letters.
Really?
I did. And now I put them everywhere. Why? Because you're right. I earned it. I'm humbled and very proud to be part of the 1% of the population that has a PhD. But once upon a time, there was a lot of shame and fear surrounding putting the title because I grew up in an environment where I was told, who do you think you are getting an education? I don't know if I should share this publicly, but I'm going to. So when I was working on my undergrad, I had family members say that, well, at least one family member. Okay. So, and it dates back. So there was a time when I didn't feel comfortable sharing that I had a PhD or putting a label on my Instagram or LinkedIn because there was shame and there was fear surrounding it. And it dates back to when I was an undergrad. I have an aunt who said a lot of negative things about me because I was getting a college degree. And so the attitude was, who do you think you are? Do you think you're better than us? And so my immediate reaction was, of course not. Of course not. I'm just trying to get an education. This is what I want to do because I feel that this is going to help me. And so then fast forward to a PhD, I'm still holding on to that. I'm still hiding it. I don't want to come off as I'm being too much or I'm showing off. And so I have a friend who does NLP and he helped me through it. Literally did one session, and after one session, I was blasting it everywhere. I put it everywhere. I have it in my business cards, my LinkedIn, every social media, because I'm not carrying shame around it anymore. I'm not carrying fear now. And that's beautiful. What a beautiful gift NLP gave me. Now, do I still feel a little uncomfortable? Yeah, sometimes, but I'm sitting with it and I'm moving through it. But the beauty is not holding on to shame and fear. And so introducing myself as Dr. Isabella still feels uncomfortable, but with time, I'll be able to rewire my brain and be completely okay with it. Just like you are okay with dancing and moving in public, right? Because with repetition, you've been successful in letting go of old paradigms.
Yeah. So since you were vulnerable, I'll do the same. In the past, a lot of my videos, I shaved my head and beard, and I did a giant trauma dump on my YouTube channel. And I posted that YouTube video on my Instagram for my entire social network to see. So I'm like, I am scared of acting this way in front of my parents, this way in front of my friends, this way in front of my coworkers. And inside, I don't even know who I am. And sometimes when I'm alone, I don't even feel like myself. Like, listen, like 20 minutes. And it was the scariest thing I've done because it was like me, like not just opening up stuff that other people didn't know, but I also didn't want to admit about myself. Not just like writing it in a journal, but like blasting it for the entire world to see. The good thing about doing that was it induced a lot of fear, triggered all the shame and everything. But then once you like you know how you sit on a crazy roller coaster and then you don't feel that much about like some easy roller coaster? That's what kind of happened to you. So it's like you just dive right in, you absorb all that, and so you're like, this does not scare me.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, and that works for you. And I love that you're finding what works for you and then you're repeating the process. That's beautiful. And it is true. You are right. We tend to refrain from being who we are depending on the environment that we're in. And that's all conditioning. That's all the subconscious mind at work. Again, over 95% of how we move, how we act, what we think is all programming. It's not even us. And good for you for recognizing that and shedding parts of you that aren't even you so that you can embrace yourself and you can become more of who you really are. And not playing all these different roles. And we become fragmented when that happens. And so, yeah, it feels good. Doesn't it feel amazing?
It feels good to be whole.
It feels good.
Different for each person.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not put on a facade.
Yeah.
Break down the critical point? Critical block?
My brain is.
Oh, something like that. Yeah, well, that was
bypassing the critical factor.
Critical factor.
Yeah, bypassing the critical factor.
Reticular activating system and the critical factor.
Yes.
The two words I learned from.
Yes.
That
Oh, awesome. Yeah, beautiful. Look them up and learn some more.
Cool.
And I need to learn some more from it too. Because everything is so complex. I would never call myself an expert in any area. Because there's this, what is that quote? The more I learn, the less I know.
Yeah.
That is so true. The more I learn, the less I know, because there's so much to learn. There's so much underneath it.
Yeah, every new thing you learn, you realize that there's 1,000 other things that you don't know about.
Exactly. And you go down that rabbit hole, and sometimes that rabbit hole will lead to healing.
Yeah. Yeah, we made healing cool.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yes. Yeah, healing is cool. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I think the important thing about Reiki is how I use it. Maybe I should say that. And every client is different. And the most important thing is listening to what the client is looking for, listening to what their intention is, what they want to accomplish, also learning about what they've tried, what they've done in the past, what they're comfortable with doing, and then giving them the option, making suggestions, NLP, hypnotherapy, energy healing. And sometimes because I do use feedback and my intuition. Sometimes I wrap in a single session NLP, hypnotherapy, and Reiki, healing energy, quantum, and then there's past life stuff in there too. So even though I offer hypnotherapy, NLP, Reiki / quantum healing, and past life readings, and it seems like they're separate from one another, they all do a beautiful dance, and they can all be integrated into one package, and that's just so exciting. They can be broken apart, used independently or used together, depending on the needs, the wants, and any intuitive guidance that I receive.
So Dr. Isabella blends spirituality and science
Yes.
for a holistic healing experience.
Yes, marrying the woo with the science. Beautiful marriage, the best marriage, the happiest marriage.
No prenup.
No prenup needed.
Perfect.